before it's too late. You're waiting, you're waiting. Alright, so I'm gonna be breaking down this sample. It's actually super simple. I'm mostly using two chords. I'm gonna put the link of it in the description so you could download it. We're gonna go inside of Chordy and I'm gonna show you exactly how I came up with the chord progression. Everything that we're gonna be doing today is gonna revolve around the G minor scale. This is gonna be our home base. So the chord progression that we have is a 1, 2, 4. So the first chord is G minor. This is our home chord. But instead of just playing a simple G minor, I'm stacking extra notes like the A and the A sharp right next to each other. This creates that emotional tension, like those two notes are fighting with each other. This chord is called the one chord because we're starting on the first of the G minor scale. Then I slide this weird unstable sounding chord. This chord is built to create tension. I'm using it as a quick passing chord to connect the first and the last chord. This is a common gospel type of move in order to make the progression feel like it's going somewhere emotionally. This is the two chord. It doesn't really have a home, but it just pulls you forward. And then I land on a C minor ninth chord, which is the fourth chord in this key. It still feels sad, but somewhat open. It's kind of like you're finally letting go. It's basically like telling a story. We start on the home chord, which is the G minor chord, and then we build tension with the diminished chord, and then we land on the C minor chord, which is more of an open chord. All right, so we're gonna hop in FL, and I'm gonna show you the final product with some embellishments. All right, so if you look at my chord progression, I know it looks somewhat complicated, but it's super simple. It's just the chords that I told you. The only difference is I just took my cutting tool and I simply cut it and I strummed it. And instead of strumming it this way, I just went the opposite way. And by doing random things, I got something decent. But this is just trial and error, to be honest. And feel free to experiment with that. But it's really based on what I just explained. All right, so I'm using the Shearwater piano. And the effects that I have on there is just a reverb with some Shep 73 just to take out some low end. And then I'm using this tape recorder, the Colorful Keys preset. And then last but not least, I'm using the J37. All right, so for the next sound, I'm using this choir from Opus, and I just copied the chord progression. What I have on here is a shaper box in order to pan it. And then I'm using this rev plate, and I'm using the bright small room preset. And then I'm, of course, using a reverb. The third sound that I'm using is this Get Back Safe preset from Analog Lab. And this is how everything sounds together so far. All right, so I took this drum loop from this Drake song and I just wanted to see how it would sound with it just so I could catch a vibe. And this is how it sounds. All right, so for the next part of the sample, I had these vocals right here. You gotta change your evil way. So what I ended up doing for these vocals is I ended up speeding it up twice as fast. And then I ended up putting a reverb on it with a rev plate. And this is how it sounds now.
You gotta change your evil ways, your evil ways, before it's too late.
So then I sent it to my boy, and he ended up adding this bass. All right, so for the next part of the sample, I ended up adding a synth bass, and I'm actually layering two different basses together. The first bass is from Trillion, and this is the preset I'm using. And then the second bass is also from Trillion, and this is the preset that I'm using. And what I have on there for the basses are just some high-end cut, and I'm just taking out the highs for both of them. This is how they sound together as one. All right, so for the next sound, I ended up going back to the piano. And what I did here was I pitched it up an octave and I turned it into an audio. So once I had it as an audio, this is how it sounded. So the only thing that I did was pitch it down 12, and it gave it that cool underwater type of key sound. And what I ended up doing is reversing that same piano, and together this is how they sound. All right, so for my next sound, I'm using the 40's very own keys. I'm using Guitar Rig, and what I did was go to the component section, and I'm using the flare. And I'm also using a Fruity Flingus. All right, so for my next sound, I ended up using my Prophet 10, and I ended up going to this patch 311, and this is how that sounds. In order to make that sound a little bit better, I ended up going to my H90 pedal, and I actually ended up going on the app, and I'm going to show you what it looks like. I ended up creating this preset, which I'm using a flanger, and I'm also using a chorus. With the 40's very own patch, this is how it sounds together. All right, so then my boy also sent me these two things, which are just random guitars that he was playing on top of what we already had. For the second part of the vocal, what I ended up doing is I ended up taking the same vocal, and the only difference is I'm using a different mixer preset. And I'm using the same concept where I sped it up twice as fast. I'm using a shaper box in order to make it go left and right. And then I'm also using a fruity distortion with some delay. I'm also using an EQ in order to take out some of the noises that I didn't like. So this takes the vocal from going like this
You gotta change
to going like this.
your before it's too late. You gotta change your
I ended up going to Splice and I ended up finding this. And what I did was use the same exact mixing preset. And this is how it turned into now. And I ended up doing that for a couple of different sounds, and this is what we have now. The last thing that I ended up doing was using a sound shifter, and I ended up going down 2. All right, so now I'm gonna play the final sample. If you like this video or you learned something in this video, don't forget to like and subscribe and comment down below what you think I should do next Wednesday.
You got to change your evil ways. Your evil ways. Before it's too late. Evil ways. Your evil ways. Your evil ways. You gotta change your evil ways. Your evil ways. Before it's too late.